the book that arguably breathed new life back into the marine terror genre. I've got three esteemed guests tonight, all accomplished fans. We're going to be discussing everything and anything Cronus Rising related, the story, characters, creatures, Easter eggs, technology, plot holes, who knows? Questions from both the panel as well as the audience are welcome. So if you want to know things like, why did my favorite character die? Where did the inspiration for the baby seal death scene come from? How big and bad were pliosaurs? Or how do you come up with this stuff? Or welcome. Before I expostulate further, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications bell so you don't miss out on any upcoming episodes. Also, don't forget to share tonight's show with any friends and family members you think might be interested. Feel free to check out all of Skydoor Entertainment's fantastic shows. Viewers can find us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. Last, tonight's door prize will consist of a signed Cronus Rising Sharks Are Just Bait bumper sticker. To enter, you must post the hashtag Monsters Are Real in the chat. All lowercase, please. That means hashtag MONSTERSAREREAL as shown. Note that prizes are only mailed to U.S. residents. Sorry, but Daddy does not have time to stand in line at the USPS to fill out customs forms. And with that, let me introduce our esteemed panel. And yes, I'm going to Gutfeld this a little. First up, we have Scott Curtis. Scott lives in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and enjoys fishing and science fiction. His favorite movie is, appropriately enough, Jaws, and his hobbies include fossil hunting and forcing his family to watch horror movies late at night. He's such a consummate badass that when he walks through the woods, dogmen roll over and play dead.
Yep.
Yes. Next up, we have one of my earliest readers and an accomplished author himself, Brian Gatto. Brian grew up in Massachusetts and has a passion for creature features. He's with Raventail Publishing, and his latest book is Evil Eyes, a horror thriller about monster crabs attacking Gloucester. Brian's writing is so terrifying, he once scared a ghost right out of its sheet. At least I think it was a ghost. Whatever the case, he picked the right town for his story, because I can tell you from personal experience, if you want to catch crabs, Gloucester is the place to check it out. Last but not least, we've got Keegan Cool. The Cool Man hails from Colorado and is one of the founding members of the channel Cole's Paranormal, with weekly episodes focusing on the paranormal, history, film, paleontology, literature, and more. Their hit series, Cole's Interviews, can be found on YouTube Music. As an interviewer, Keegan pulls no punches. And during a recent sit-down with a chupacabra, he told the legendary cryptid to suck it. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Monsters and Marine Mysteries. I thank you all for coming.
Good to be here.
Glad to be here.
Oh, that's disgusting. Ugh. Some sort of nasty tea that's supposed to help you with all sorts of things. So anyway, guys, welcome to the show. We're going to be talking about Cronus Rising and whatnot. We were kind of touching on this a little bit in the green room. It really was something for me, the impact the book seemed to have on so many people. I mentioned, somebody who was over in Afghanistan, a soldier, and he was talking about how, reading the book helped keep, I guess, get him through the days and such. I had another person whose book was held together literally with duct tape. She showed it on Facebook. It had been read 100 and something times because people at her office kept borrowing the book to read it. Would have been better if they all bought a copy, but whatever the case may be, I felt so bad about it. I sent her a brand new signed copy just for the heck of it. So, really good stuff. So anyway, who's got questions? Don't be shy. Go for it. Let me pin somebody out. Keegan. Yeah. All right, I'll go in stack order. Oh, man, that's awful.
I think he's muted.
Oh, we can't hear you. I thought he got shy on me for a second there. Keegan? You got to check. Is there a way to tell him to check his microphone? We're not hearing anything. All right, while you're working on that, I'm going to jump over to Brian. Okay, you're up, big guy.
Alrighty. So the first question I have is, so what is the best example of a bad review turned good for Kronos Rising? What sort of reviews helps you fix any issues in the following books that you agreed with?
How would a bad review help me in terms of writing like future books in the series, that type of thing?
Yeah, like how any suggestions or anything that really kind of formed something that was like, that's a good idea. I should have done that, or I'll do that in the next book, kind of thing.
I gotcha. Deanna Deem is in the chat. What's up, girl? Well, let's see. Usually, when I get bad reviews, they're not really. There doesn't constructive criticism. It happens rarely. Usually, a bad review is usually a hatchet job from some troll who was stalking me on social media and got told something inappropriate about them and their mother or something, and they decide to retaliate by leaving a ridiculously hatchet job review on there, some of which are actually Amazon's actually removed, believe it or not. So constructive wise, I don't. First of all, I would never use somebody else's idea that they put in a review. There was one that was kind of interesting where this one guy, he was pointing out how in the first Cronus Rising novel, there were kelp down in Florida, meaning I had them down in Florida. And that was basically an error in research on my part. I had hauled up kelp in California while fishing, and I've hauled up kelp in the East Coast, like in Long Island and such. So I foolishly assumed that the plants, were all the way the length of the eastern seaboard. See, so he wanted to make it a point to mention that and blah, 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 all that. So I made sure that kelp is in every single book from that point on, because it's my world, my universe, my rules, and what I say goes. So that, if you want to call that constructive criticism, I make it a point: kelp, and more kelp. So I guess that's just me. Anyway, all right, Keegan, are you front and center? I can't hear him. Can anybody hear him?
No, I can't hear him either.
Maybe try not using the microphone and just have it come directly from your computer.
Maybe he didn't okay his microphone, but I think we
Microphone-
heard it before.
Yeah, microphones can be tricky with
I don't
computers.
know. All right, I'm going to talk to Scott. You're up, big dog.
Okay. I'm just curious. I've read the book several times. I was just wondering, how did you come up with the idea for the book?
Okay. Well, I think the inspiration for using the Kronosaurus initially was a few books I had on prehistoric life. I don't remember the name of one, but I saw Kronosaurus in there. And then there was a magazine I had. This has to be like 25 years ago, something like that, that had a painting by, what's a guy? Gurney, I think his last name is. I don't remember his first name. He's a famous paleo art painter, and he had those books like where dinosaurs and people were coexisting. I don't remember the name of the series, which is embarrassing also, but like what lot, not I can't think of it, but there was a painting they had done where they had some Kronosauruses towing submarines or something like that in this world of his universe. And I was so inspired by that, and I was thinking, wow, wouldn't it be incredible if pliosaurs were alive in the present? But then you come into this big problem of how do you get an apex marine predator that is air breathing on top of it, that has been extinct since the Cretaceous? How do you have a breeding population of these things survive to the present in isolation and still have a viable population? Nobody knows about it. And then in my sleep, which was a lot of my wackiest ideas come from, I was lying there and I saw it in a dream, literally, where you had this asteroid coming down, the one that struck at the Yucatan Peninsula, and I had these pliosaurs having a mating chase, which I based that on carp fishing. You'll see a large female carp and then like 4 or 5 what they call jacks chasing her, this type of stuff, all vying for the option to mate, etc. So I created a version of that, and then I had a caldera an island, like a volcanic island off the coast of what would be Cuba, with the top blown up, which was like a giant bowl-shaped depression. And then I had, when the asteroid struck, this mega tsunami, 1,000 meters tall, swept up all the ocean, all the marine life, including the surviving pliosaurs, and enveloped this caldera as it made landfall, filling it, turning it into an instant saltwater aquarium.
Mhm.
So now you've got an entire ecosystem deposited inside what is instantly now an 8-mile wide, 10,000 foot deep saltwater aquarium, with all sorts of foodstuffs of every, from every level of the food chain, and even geothermal heating for ice ages, very conveniently,
Mhm.
courtesy of the what do you call it, the volcanic activity, which was sort of dormant, etc. So I mean, that was the basis. Then beyond that, I mean, like one of my uncle was the inspiration for Jake Braddock, because my uncle was actually the national saber champion for this country and captain of NYU's fencing team back then. He didn't compete in the Olympics because it was the year that it was in the Soviet Union, and the it was boycotted. So he was sort of the inspiration for Jake. He's not like Jake. He's a little more like cock of the walk type stuff, etc. But I like him. He's he's one of these people. I'm an a-hole and I'm honest about it,
Right.
type of thing. So, Keegan, are you live? You get, dude. This is not me now. I'm not doing this. Okay, this is messed up. Like one of my favorite people.
It shows that his mic is not active on his name there.
Yeah.
So, Dave, is there anything we can do for him? Godfather, can you hear me? He dialed out.
Yeah, he can go ahead and unmute himself on his side. I'm talking to him in the private chat, seeing if we can get him
all right, so you guys are working on,
and then authorized.
So when he's ready, just have him cut into the conversation so we know. Okay. All right. So what do we got here? Shaman Sundays. Shout out. Hey, what's going on, guys? Cold Case. What's going on? All right. All right. So Brian, you're back up to bat, big dog.
Alrighty. So I recall when you watched my fan trailer for Alligator, you were mentioning a certain scene where a patrol boat skids over the reptile's back, inspired in a way a scene from Kronos Rising. Were there any other similarities drawn from older monster movies that helped shape certain scenes in Kronos Rising? If so, what was one of the more subtle nods?
Okay. So when we're talking about Alligator, we're talking like the 1980 movie?
Yes.
And is that the one where it was like it sank a boat or something like that?
No, so it came up from the sewers and was in the lake in New York. I forget what it's called.
Okay.
And the police drive a boat over the hump on the back of the alligator.
Well, that definitely was an inspiration for the movie. I would think that the scene where I had the pliosaur outside of Harcourt Marina and it trashed all the boats in that area, like Pac-Man, destroying vessel after vessel after vessel and leaving havoc in its wake, pun intended.
Yeah.
Okay. It was probably inspired by Alligator. I mean, there's been other movies and such that have done that. But Alligator scared the crap out of me when I was a kid.
The scene with the kids in the pool.
Yeah, that was the worst one, honestly. But that one and the one in Jaws 3 where the guy's getting eaten and he's inside the mouth of the shark. Both of those had a lot of impact, I felt.
No.
But I'm trying to think if there's any other movie. I mean, there's a chapter in Cronus Rising, which is that whole chapter where the pliosaur drifts into the marina after eating the great white shark, and then it wakes up or whatever, and then it realizes it's trapped by the pilings, and it goes apeshit, and it starts destroying everything in its path. That was a writing lesson for me, because usually when I write a scene or a chapter, I map it out ahead of time. I know exactly what's going to happen, bit by bit by bit. Every paragraph, every scene, every subchapter, everything. That chapter, I decided, you know what? I'm just going to wing it. Okay. And it turned into like a Godzilla movie scene.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like completely out of control, off the rails, as my brother said, et cetera, and stuff. And he's like, I don't understand it. Every other chapter before this has been great. Why did this thing turn into, I mean, you just literally turned this thing into a kaiju and all this other stuff. So obviously there was a lot of changes had to be made to clean all that up and make it, work better. So we had a running joke that, when you screwed up and you just tried to wing something without planning it first and you screwed up, you chapter 12 did. So that's like a little in-house humor, I guess you'd say, that type of thing.
Yeah, that scene. Oh, sorry, were you?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, that scene. When I read that for the first time, my mouth was dropped the whole time. I went over to my parents and I'm like, you gotta read this real quick, and it's just at least the first part where he gets the Great White.
You mean where it's about to eat Jake and the girl,
Yeah.
and then it stops like
Yeah.
that, and it's
Yeah.
just staring, and there's just confusion. Why is it? Is it hesitating? Is it like trying to make a scream before it bites, and then
Yeah.
it starts to get lifted up, and then people slowly realize, oh my God, there's something holding on to it and stuff.
Yeah, and then the I think it works because all that build up before it kind of you need a payoff like big like that, and it definitely helped with that. With the scene being crazy like that.
Yeah, and it was difficult also, I remember, trying to conceal or deceive the reader into thinking, like when I said, like the predator prepared to strike, I wanted people to think I was talking about the shark, and I wasn't. I was talking about the pliosaur sneaking up on the shark. When it said the prey item was small and weak and it could not escape and all this other stuff. See, so it's a little trick of changing points of view and subtly, so you kind of like drag the person along and they don't know, and you need that surprise. You need those jump scares and stuff like that. Scott, man, what's going on?
As far as I've seen a lot of pictures that you post on you do a lot of deep sea fishing sometimes, but I've never done it. Have you seen anything out there that just makes you think to yourself, what the heck was that? Something like in the book.
Well, I had an incident which is mentioned in Monsters and Marine Mysteries, where there is a lake in New Jersey that I am convinced has not only snakehead the size of a small child, but I believe there is a Mekong a giant freshwater stingray in this lake. I mean, like, we're talking a fish that might weigh 600 or 700 pounds.
Wow.
And I've been meaning to go back and try and fish for it. It's been years, so I don't know if it would still be alive or if it died on the bottom of old age and rotted and stuff. But I'm 99% sure that that's what's in there, because we had a 6-foot spread with this oscillating water 6 feet apart that we thought were two huge fish swimming together, and it was constantly moving. Like, it didn't move like two fish together. If they made a turn, they would go like this. It would turn like this, which suggested that it was all part of the same creature.
Right.
So there's that. And there is that incident also mentioned in Monsters Marine Mystery where I was grouper fishing once, and I had a grouper estimated at about 100 pounds on the line. And then something, when it made a run to try and get away, something took it. It was just like I was fighting this fish, and it was like a test of strength. And all of a sudden, like, I got like pulled and smashed into the poling platform, yanked sideways, almost went over the side, was holding on for dear life. The rod touched the gunnels, snapped in half. It screamed off 100 yards of 500-pound steel test leader, and then hit 400-pound test mono and snapped it like nothing.
Wow.
It was like a rifle shot going off. Now, 400-pound test mono, I mean, so it shows you how much drag this lunatic had on his Senator reels, which he had adjusted the drag into inhuman proportions.
Mm-hmm.
So a normal person could not hold on to this rod. And I'm not trying to say like, oh, I'm Superman, but I mean, I'm a pretty strong guy, and I was holding on for dear life. But something took that grouper, and then when it broke off, the water boiled up. Like, if you ever gone bass fishing with bobbers, and you'll see like the water will start to boil as a big bass is charging up from the bottom. And that boil might be a foot, 2 feet across. Well, this boil was 13 feet in diameter.
Wow.
So, I mean, and then he was gone, and we were like, and the guide goes, "What the hell was that?" And I was like, "You're asking me? You work here." And then he goes, "I think that's one of them like 800-pound groupers that people say they see all the time and nobody can ever catch." And that's what he thought. So it probably was, big fish eat smaller fish, that type of stuff. Or it could have been an enormous shark, that type of stuff. But I've never seen anything at sea yet where, except for that giant dead turtle. I've talked about that on shows. We found a loggerhead 20 miles offshore when shark fishing that dwarfs the world record. This thing was the size of a Volkswagen Beetle. I mean, it was upside down, and its shell must have been a yard thick. a yard thick, just dead, lying there on its back of old age or a ship strike. I mean, we didn't see any wounds on it, so I don't know, but it was
Right.
big. But anyway, so what is going on with this chat stuff here? Okay, Brian. And by the way, Brian, I have no idea. I can't think of any books right now or movies that kind of apply to the rest of the novel. So I would have to say no. I mean, if you have any suggestions, I'm happy to listen.
Yeah, no, I wasn't sure. I wasn't quite sure if you had any inspirations or not. So
Yeah, I mean, you have to understand, like any writer, any screenwriter, their mind is going to be an amalgamation of everything they've seen and read in a genre their entire life.
mhm.
You know, and I mean, I just turned 58 years old. So, I've read, seen, and done a lot. Keegan, wait, I'm sorry, hold up. Are you there?
I think I'm here. Can you hear me?
Hold
There
on,
we go.
dude.
I had to get off my
Yes? No, just kidding.
my computer apparently.
Well, welcome back. We missed you terribly. And I'm sorry to cut Brian short, but we got to get him in there for at least one, and we'll bounce right back to you. Thank you.
Yeah. No, you're good. Sorry about that. I'm not sure.
It's okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've been listening at least, so lots of good questions going around. I'm trying to like pick a question that hasn't totally been touched on. So we'll go more of like the writing stage, I guess,
Right.
because early on, I think it's page 47 of your book. We see Mara, and she's talking about her work with the sperm whales and the orcas, which obviously is like foreshadowing. So, like, how far in advance did you plan that out? Like, what is the steps to get from that point to point B, where later in the book we see the battles?
The original outline for Cronus Rising, I first, believe it or not, I wrote the outline in, I think, 03 and copyrighted it because I'm paranoid like that. And I knew it was a great idea. And so the outline, it was planned from the very beginning. I mean, like from the get-go. I knew that, predation of sperm whales by orcas was probably a hot topic back then, or I remember reading a few pieces about it and stuff. And the foreshadowing allowed me to, number one, justify orcas being into the story, which of course they made a previous appearance. You probably remember the confrontation there where they attacked the submersible.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that was in there. And also mentioning sperm whales. So now we know we have killer whales in the area. We have sperm whales in the area, that type of thing. And, this gives you a little glimpse into Amara's character as well, because she's a little glum when it comes to the topic. She doesn't like seeing her whales killing each other and that type of stuff. He left. Is this something I said?
Wow.
Damn. I did shower before this.
There he is.
Oh, he's back. You're missing my jokes, all my one-liners, but anyway, but yeah, was there more for that before we go up 2 notches?
Well, I mean, it kind of ties in with another one as far as like the ending, because like, did you have a different ending for like the Kronosaur or for the people towards the end of the book? Because we do see, like I said, the orcas pretty close. I think the last 20 pages against the Kronosaur. So did we have a different ending in mind, or was that always going to be your ending?
Oh no, that was always planned out. The idea was that you have these like 3 or 4 different pods of orcas in the area, and they've all realized that this creature, they have something on their hands or their paddles that they've never seen before, that is deadly, dangerous, a serious threat to them, their offspring, their dominance of the sea, everything like that, and they need to deal with it. So they get together and form a super pod and then go after this creature. And I wanted to explore in the scene, like anybody who knows anything about killer whales, and I'm sure you guys will probably all agree with me, is that orcas specialize, they evolved to prey on whales, the great whales in particular. And there are videos out there of them grabbing the flukes of, finback whales, multiple times their size, and even full-grown blue whales now. And Junebug, I will get to you in a second. So what they do is they want to bludgeon their prey into submission. They want to bludgeon it. They want to suffocate it. They want to immobilize it. So what they'll do is a huge bull will grab a whale by its flukes, and he will stop it dead in the water. he will backpedal with his flukes and use all his power and hold it there. And while he's doing that, other members of the troop, the pod, are smashing into it, tearing at its genitals, ripping at its pectorals, things like that. They just wear them down. If they're air breathers, push them underwater, that type of stuff. That's what they do. It's a proven technique, and it works time and time again. And the same thing would, of course, work on a giant shark, megalodon, chubutensis, whatever you want to call it. Even worse, because the poor shark, once it gets immobilized, is now going to suffocate. It can't get oxygen to its gills. So it doesn't matter that it's to the surface. It's just going to be like, and get ripped to pieces. So all that stuff had to be taken into account. But with a pliosaur, you're dealing with something with four-wheel drive. See, you've got four different modes of locomotion there, or propulsion units, let's say, that would all have to be immobilized, not just one tail. See, so that was something different for the orcas that they had to face. And I like that moment when they were coming after it and pecking at it and stuff, trying to see what it was, what it could do, where it just did a backstroke and stopped dead in the water, and they all sailed past it, and they came within range of its jaws. And then they panicked a little bit because they were like, they're used to playing it safe. You stay away from the business end, meaning the teeth. You attack the enemy from below, from behind, etc., where it can't do anything. I mean, just last week, while driving my daughter to school, I watched a huge red-tailed hawk get his ass kicked by 2 or 3 crows that were less than half his size. And he could not do anything because they would just fly up, bite him in the ass, slash him from the back, whatever and stuff. He can't turn around. They're more maneuverable. And all he had to finally went into a tree to hide. So that was, but that was all like, yeah. So, I mean, that battle, that whole thing. But if you notice, ultimately the orcas lost. See, they took heavy losses. Yes, they did damage. They turned this thing into a, like a, I don't know what you call it, a battered berserk maniac, let's say. But they did, they suffered the most. Let's see what we got here. Junebug Films. What's the best way you come up with character names? Let's see. Well, let's see. Jake Braddock was inspired by my uncle, as I mentioned earlier. But his last name is actually based on Jim Braddock, whom my father got to meet when he was in high school in the boxing program. We're talking like 1944, maybe. 45, something like that. And Jim Braddock, the former boxing champ, Cinderella Man, was there doing a talk about his fight with Joe Louis. And my dad was sitting right next to him in the audience, and he was like, and they had a little chat or whatever and stuff like that. So it was a little homage to a former champion. So I try and make my characters' names come up with fitting names, cool names. Sometimes the meaning of their name, the actual translation, has some hidden meaning, which is an Easter egg if you look for it. Brian, you're up.
Alrighty, so if a movie adaptation were to come of Kronos Rising, would you push for a darker, bloodier R rating or a more appropriate for the general audience PG-13?
I think that wouldn't be up to me, honestly. Yeah. There is some negotiations going on right now for a film, actually.
Oh, awesome.
Spoiler! But the screenplay for Kronos Rising is already written. I wrote it myself a few years back. I try to not digress too much from the book. Start. What is this? How do you come up with your character? What's the best way that you come up with character names? Oh, I think I answered that already. I'm sorry. What's a starred comment? I don't know what that is.
Oh, what?
A starred comment. It said. I don't know. Huh. But anyway, what was I saying? I'm a little scatterbrained.
You were talking about your movie?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, the script. So the problem is that you're trying to boil down a story that is 193,000 words. Honestly, if the printers and stuff, if they hadn't formatted it and cropped the margins thin, shrank the text and everything like that, that book would be 800 pages long.
Yeah.
Easily 800 pages long. Okay. But we managed to get it to like a little under 600 or something like that, So compiling all that into a 2-hour movie is no mean feat. You have to take sometimes scenes and you have to take the best parts of certain scenes and compile them together. I changed the opening to make it much more, get a lot more punch, let's say, and stuff. You know, you got to
Capture
shake
the
people up from
audience.
the get-go. You know, yeah, but you want to try and stay true to what people love the most about the novel, so they still feel like they don't walk out of saying, "Oh, the book was so much better." You know, you want people to be like, you know, it was took away from the book a little, but by and large, it was, you know, true, and wow, you know, and that's what you want. And I think that's what we've done.
Yeah, I saw on the Amazon. I was like, I don't remember when the last time I looked at Cronus Rising before this, but it was at like 500 ratings and reviews compiled together. I went on recently, and like it's over 1,000 or 1,100. I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing shot up. So
Yes.
that's always so awesome to see for books, and especially because usually when I notice that when authors or books get over 1,000, they get movie options. You know?
Really? Huh.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot with books. Like usually the ones that are around 800 or more will get auctioned for a movie.
I had an offer for the Sleigh
Yeah.
last fall, but I turned it down.
Hmm.
So yes, I was not happy with their terms. Curtis, man, you're up, and then we're going right back to you, cool man.
One of the things I really liked in that book, in your Cronus Rising first book, is the mini subs. And I'm just curious, how did you come up? Is that an original idea, or is there actually a prototype that you've seen kind of similar to that, or is that just fly by night popped in your head?
So let's do this first. Godfather, can you pull up the submersible, please? Hello. I think he. Okay, I don't think he's there. Let me see if I could. Let's see if it's. I don't think he put it in. I don't think it's here. I don't. Wait. There it is. Okay. Yeah. Can we get the submersible, please? The yellow thing. We all, you know, the yellow submarine. Yes. Can we pull that up?
There it is.
There we go. Okay. Let's leave that up for a minute. Okay. So this is what Scott was talking about. This is the Euryptera 2. There are 2 of these in the novel. These in the book, these are Kevlar armored, let's call them, I don't call them attack craft necessarily, but they were designed by their inventor to incapacitate and capture large life forms. In this case, originally he had intended these to capture live giant squid to sell to aquariums for an outrageous amount of money. They have impeller drives that lets them move fast and silently. You can see the arms folded under like a praying mantis right now. These very powerful actuators that could tear a door off of a bank vault effectively. Those ports they fire compressed air harpoons, and then there was one of my favorite original touches, which is underneath there's an electrified harpoon with a cable attached to it as well to help subdue things. In terms of inspiration, I would imagine that the Seaview submarine from the old Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea probably had a little bit of that and the Cylon Raiders from Battlestar Galactica, you know, that type of thing. But I mean, when I first came up with it, now we're going back to 2004 once again, though the idea was it was supposed to be something like a manta ray, you know, something that had that ray-like shape and all this other stuff. So I remember when I first was sending out writing samples to different publishers and agents, stuff like that, you know, the scene I sent them was the scene with the submersible in there and with Von Freeling in there, that part, and using the electrical harpoon and all that jazz. So that's the part that actually went out to a bunch of different places and stuff. I liked it. It was a really cool action-packed scene. I don't do any spoilers for people that haven't read Cronus Rising yet or anything like that. But, you know, that's where that came from. So there's no prototype that I've ever seen or anything like that, you know, that type of thing. But, you know, that's the basic design. I did a sketch on it, gave it to the artist, and he based it on that. In fact, oh my gosh, I saw that sketch in my drawer somewhere. No, I don't know where it is, but here, this I did find. Oh, there it is. Look at that. This is an ancient sketch. Oh, wait, you got to, Godfather, can we lose that? Yeah, because otherwise this won't show it all. So this was the original sketch for it, which is what he based that design on. And then I also gave him an idea of what the side view would be to show the 2 people in there, because it's a 2-person vehicle, one right in front of the other, that type of thing.
That's a cool idea.
Thank you. Well, you know, you try and come up with original stuff. You know, there's so many knockoffs out there for everything in this world. You want to try and be original if you can.
Yep.
You know, Keegan, you are up, big dog.
All right. So while reading this, because I think everybody loves Easter eggs, so about page 293 or so, we find a ship called the Aquaholic, and I just want to know the backstory between that one or behind that one.
Mm. Okay, so when I lived in Brooklyn, I had a friend there who his name is in the book. And he knew. Now, once again, we're going way back, almost 20 years ago. And he came to me and he was like, "You're writing a novel." He was at the health club where I was still working when I was still doing my fitness product on the side and all this other stuff. And I was like, "Yeah." And then he told me, his name is Angelo, great guy. And he was like pressing me. He was explaining how a friend of his from college or something like that was a screenwriter for Three's Company. Remember that old show, John Ritter and all that
Yep.
stuff? You know, I'm not going to sing the song. I'll probably get in trouble if I do and all that. But anyway, so his friend had a girlfriend and she wanted to have her name in an episode. So there was one episode, and I don't remember the girl's name. Okay, so we're just going to call her like Maria Prestigiacomo. I remember it was Italian, I think. And he was lamenting about how he dated this girl in college or something that didn't work out and all this stuff. And then he has all these misadventures with some other woman. And at the end, he goes, "Marie Prestigiacomo, where are you when I need you?" You know, this type of stuff. And that was the screenwriter's girlfriend's name, whatever it was. Like I said, I'm not remembering the name right. But according to Angelo, that's how her name ended up being permanently inscribed in television or whatever. So he wanted it into this book. And he was on me like white on rice about it. And I was like, first off, I said, if I do that, you're going to have to sign a waiver for me because I'll sign whatever you want. So I had to send him this thing. It was like this big, all this the disclaimers, whatever, release and all that stuff. And I said, the only part I got available, I mean, you can't be a main character. And he goes, no, something minor like that. I said, all right, I got a scene coming up where there's this guy and he's on a sailboat and he's dead. He's already been eaten by the monster. Half of him is gone. Oh, that's an homage to Jaws. You know, he'd been bitten in half below the waist, you know, where there was nothing from this guy from the waist down. Okay. Although it was also horrible and disgusting. So I said, he's like dead. They find him holding on to the captain's wheel. He was climbing out of the water and the monster bit the bottom half. He goes, "I'll take it." And I'm like, "Are you sure?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Can I name the boat too?" And I said, "Why?" He goes, "Because I have my own boat and it's also a sailboat." I don't know if it was a sailboat, but he had his own boat. He goes, "And I want to put that name in there too." And I was like, "What's the name of it?" And he said, "The Aquaholic." And I went, "I like it." So let it be written. So let it be done. So I Ramseyed it. Okay. And boom. And there you go. So he's his name and he's also a real estate guy. See? So, you know, that was all meant to be, but that's the only real life person that's ever been in any of my books or anything like that. You know, I don't normally do that. And I was pressured, believe me. So every day come in my office. Did you think about it? Did you think about it? I'm like, all right, fine. You know, so who's next? Who did we just go with? Keegan?
Yeah, I was last.
Brian, you're up.
All right, I got one more question on here. Don't have to start coming up with them off the top of my head.
Hold on a second. 1 second. I'm sorry. Hold on. I got a slew of stuff here. I'm supposed to be checking comments and I didn't. Okay, if I could afford the rights, I would love to help the movies of this guy's books, as my goal is to be a studio head. Thank you, Junebug. That's very nice of you. When writing the book, who did you see in your mind as Braddock as far as an actor goes? Clint Eastwood's son. I think his name is Scott.
Yep.
Yeah, he'd be an excellent choice.
Scott Eastwood.
Yeah. And or who else? That guy that used to. There was one that was in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He was the villain. I can't remember his name right now. Black hair, tall guy, angular features. My wife hates him because he was a bad guy on S.H.I.E.L.D. He was a traitor and stuff. I can't remember his name. And she's like, "He better not get the part." And I'm like, you know, but I can't think of that right now. Turn it into an epic. Make it a 3-hour movie with an overture and intermission. Ooh. You're welcome to also say who you thought of for the other characters as far as actors go. I don't know if we're going to have time for that. I actually sent my agent a list. She had asked for a list of people for a bunch of characters for that, but I do not remember their names off the top of my head. So, but thank you, Junebug. I'm sorry, Brian. Go for it.
All right, so this is kind of a humorous question. It was the only other one I could think of at the moment. So in the book, when Amara Takagi has been going over the data based on the information they possess as to what the creature is attacking their waters, she falls asleep and starts snoring aggressively. Is that trait based off of someone you know, or an instance where that scenario happened to you, walking in on someone snoring?
No, I just thought that she is this beauteous, brilliant, albeit damaged woman. You know, she's an incredible intellect, an incredible personality, and such an admirable character. And hot. I mean, I had one guy read the book and he was like, "Oh my God," he goes, "I could see her in my head, dude, and she was hot." And I'm like, "All right, take it easy. All right, she's not a real person." But so I thought it would be really something to juxtaposition her, you know, throw a little incongruity in there where she was making sounds like a warthog or something like that while she was sleeping, especially for Jake, who's starting, even though he doesn't realize it, to have romantic interest in her. So, you know, if you picture this beautiful, elegant creature and she's lying there going, and you'd be like, Jesus Christ. And then he's got to be thinking, I'm going to be living with that in the back of his head, you know, like it's kind of like it throws you for a loop, which was the intention. Very good question. Scott Man, what's up?
That's why they make earplugs.
Oh my God.
Just to piggyback off another question that was earlier, who would you, if you had the choice, who would you think would play Amara?
Well, Gemma Chan was an ideal choice for one option, and then there was that other girl,
Olivia Munn.
No, she was in the Wolverine recently. She's Japanese also. I can't remember her name. Well, whoever the actress was that was in the Wolverine with Hugh Jackman recently. But I remember my agent said they spoke to her and she was already under contract or something, so that wasn't an option. So one of those two would be the first ones that comes to mind. You know, they both have the look, the height, you know, that type of thing. So good. You know, you kind of have to work with, you know, your character and everything. Obviously, there's going to be some contact lenses involved because Amara has eyes like a glacier. So, but that, you know, that's part of her appeal. You know. Yep. See, he knows. Picture in my head, and she was hot. Cool, man. Bring it.
All right. So, I mean, obviously, the introductory scene is super catching, but before that, you guys got to catch people's eyes with the covers. So how did you come up with the ideas? Because for those of us on the stream right now, we remember your first cover, but now there's a second cover. So how did you come up with that? And like, what's the process behind those?
So the first cover actually wasn't even my idea or anything like that. I was approached by an artist who offered to do the cover free of charge and whatnot. And I went through weeks and weeks, if not months, of back and forth with him because I was not happy with the design and all this other. There was like a lot of tweaking and all this other stuff like that. You know, I like the basic concept, and he did a pretty good job on it and all that. But you know, I wanted more. I felt that people like it my main complaint was that it kind of reminded me more of a plant. It was so green, and I was thinking Little Shop of Horrors and this type of stuff, you know. But it still worked, and a lot of people liked it. I wanted something that was more scary, and the scariest thing that usually goes through the human mind, or I imagine any life form's mind, is being eaten by something larger than us. You know, I mean, that's just terrifying, pure and simple. So the idea of seeing something coming at you with these giant jaws and you're about to be swallowed and crunched up and inhaled or whatever and die a horrible death, a shark, a crocodile, one of my pliosaurs, is much more terrifying. So that's when I sought out Davide Bonadonna from Italy. He's a famous paleo artist. And, you know, we went through once again. There was a lot of back and forth and stuff like that. I have like oodles. I could do a big demo at some point showing all the stages of the cover and stuff. But I sent him what I was looking for, and he did an incredible job, as you can see. I mean, there's one of the posters of that is hanging on the Etches Collection Museum of Jurassic Marine Life in the UK, among other places. So, but I mean, which one do you like better?
Me?
Yeah.
I mean, because I remember when you first released the new one, and then there was like the blood, the no blood version, and then I don't know. I still have a soft spot for my OG cover because that's the
Of
one
course.
I got into. So it's hard for me to pick against it. Yeah.
There's one who's got, everybody's got it. Come on, let's go. This shows you how far back all you guys go as readers.
Oh, yeah,
and stuff,
definitely.
okay. But well, it was a great cover. So, it obviously struck a chord with a lot of people. I mean, it contributed to the book being as successful as it was. But that's what's that?
A plesiosaur replica tooth that I won in one of the
Whoa,
contests.
nice. I just sold a pliosaur tooth that I had for like $3,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was taking up too much space in my display case. I decided, either that or my wife said, if you don't get rid of these credit card bills, I'm divorcing you. I forget. That type of thing. So, so I was like, something's got to go. What's it going to be? What's it going to be? I should have brought a couple of pliosaur fossils over here to show people and stuff, but maybe next time. But anyway, so did I answer that question fully? I'm a little spacey.
Yeah. No, I think you answered it good.
Okay. Brian, you're up again, buddy.
I'm out of questions. I'm
Okay.
trying to think
And
of
I know. Okay, so we're going to be running low on time here because I know he wants us to get out. Oh, wait, we got 13 minutes. Okay, so we're still okay. Okay, so first let's pull up the other artwork so I can show this to people. Godfather, can we get the sperm whale one? All right, the blue whale will work. This is a scene from the book. A little artistic license was taken. I don't recall the whale breaching the surface with the pliosaur attacking it, but this is a scene from Cronus Rising, which gives you an idea of what might happen if pliosaurs were alive in today's oceans or suddenly got into today's oceans, which is what happens in the book. That's actually a great color. It's very similar to the creature in the novel. And the appropriate size for compared to a blue whale, it's around 100 feet long. And this shows a pregnant female blue whale being attacked by the pliosaur, which is a scene from the book. No spoilers will be given. What do you guys think of that scene, by the way?
It's very graphic.
Very great.
Well, that's what we want, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay, cool. I mean, just making sure we're all on the same page.
Oh, yeah.
Like that. All right.
Hey,
But
the more detail, the better.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's very important when you're writing a novel that you want to make sure that you want people to realize, hey, these things were huge. They were terrifying. You want them to feel like they're there, that they're seeing it like through a window, that it could smash through that window and end up in their lap, for God's sake, And hey, even you want a suspension of disbelief where people think, hey, these things might still be out there. And you know what? Maybe they are. Let's get the sperm whale one with the giant squid, Godfather, please. Nope, that's Cole's Paranormal. Nope. There we go.
There we go.
All right. So this is Elvis and a sperm and I think it was a colossal squid, if memory serves. And this is a scene from the novel where this big bull sperm whale, who's kind of like the alpha for that area, dives down 5,000 feet. He's preying on a colossal squid. And he's so overconfident and so used to nothing being able to challenge him that he's not really focused as much on his surroundings. Meanwhile, this enormous pliosaur sees him going for a squid that it was thinking of going after, even though it wasn't hungry, if memory serves, and it goes after the whale out of territoriality, let's say, or something. And that could be a good starring role for Scott Eastwood, and I think it would be kind of get him out of his dad's shadow. I think you're right, Junebug. Somebody better call this man up and tell him to read my book, read my screenplay, and talk to my agent. I like that. So poor Elvis, that was his name in the book, gets caught off guard by this thing, and he feels it coming at him by the pressure wave and stuff at the last second, and he's desperately trying to shake the squid off his face, which is entangling him like a net, as you can see, and stuff, so he can fight back in time. So, what'd you guys think of that scene?
Very good.
Oh, I love it.
Yep.
You try it like you want to do it in such a way. Like, if you think about it, Elvis was hampered. So I wanted people to have a little bit of contention, say, well, if he didn't have that squid on his face, he would have had, done better or something like that. Or, that wasn't fair. The same thing with the whale. We know what the whale situation was. It was pregnant, so like people were like even more concerned. You've got this poor mother trying to protect her unborn child from this 100-ton marine reptile that wants to rip her guts open and pull her writhing fetus out of its womb and eat. Just kidding. I'm not actually like that. Did I take my pills today? Wait a minute. No, I'm just kidding. I don't take pills. They tell me to, but
Getting ready to say what's in that tea you're drinking.
this stuff is so nasty. It tastes like dirt. It literally tastes like dirt. My doctor needs a beating. Oh. Ah. Ugh. Ugh. Okay. So I think what we're going to do here, since we've only got about 9 minutes left, is first off, anybody watching the show, if you're going to be entering for the hashtag Monsters Are Real drawing, you need to get your entries in. So let's make sure you do that. It's funny because 99% of the people that see this show are not live, which is a shame. But you know, hey, if nobody wins, I don't have to mail anything out. You know. Okay, so that's one thing. Second thing is, let's do a little bit of intro to our guys. So first, Brian, I know you wanted to be a writer when we first started talking ages ago, and you have done that. So why don't you tell everybody watching about the books that you've done so far and where they can find your stuff?
Sure. So, well, so my stuff is on Amazon through Raventail Publishing, and they have done a wonderful job with my books. I've actually gotten some really good feedback as well as a high amount of ratings, which I was not expecting so quickly. So I would definitely check them out if you want to become inspiring to be an author, I should say. And
they
then
find you by name or by title?
By Brian Gatto, BrianGatto.
Cool.
As it's spelled on the screen, I should say.
Yes.
And then I have the first one I did, which was actually a book that I was just thinking about one day, like what would be the perfect book to really hook people with the title and idea. Mm-hmm. And we were driving down the road. I'm like looking at trees. I'm like, Limbs is a cool name. And I thought around it like lumberjacks and trees, and like I'm trying to combine all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And so I decided to write that one first, and it got the first one that was published. And then I had 3 more published after that. And I have a 5th one coming out, as well as a 6th one I'm currently writing.
Awesome. Cool. A productive writer. That is the name of the game.
Too much stuff. I'm always so busy.
Oh, let's hear. Tell them about your show.
Sure. I'm on the Horror Shark. I do movie reviews, unboxings, trail reactions, a whole bunch of stuff. I love to do creature stuff, action, horror. I know it's called the Horror Shark, but I like to be a little versatile and try to do multiple things. Yeah, definitely. I love comments. I love feedback. I love all my supporters and people who don't support, because even if you dislike the video, it's still an interaction that helps the channel.
Well, if you need a cover blurb in the future, an endorsement, you just hit me up and we'll take care of that.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate it.
Sure. And Junebug said, well, Brian, I would love to make your books in the movies, and anybody who wants to be an author, I want to help them make their movies, bring the magic of the movies. And I'll skip that because I'm not supposed to say stuff like that on the air. I seriously want to get back to actual story. All right. So now Scott is just one of my favorite readers from the very, very, very beginning. And I know you don't do stuff like Keegan and Brian do in terms of like writing and podcasting and stuff like that. So if you want to tell us a little about yourself or give a shout out to your lovely wife or kids or grandkids, dude, it's all yours.
Well, I'm probably going to credit my sister for getting me involved. She took me to see Jaws when it first came out in '75. Mm-hmm. And I was like 7 years old. And we didn't grow up 10. Wow. Well, we grew up in Oklahoma. There wasn't any ocean around, but we had this huge lake, Lake Eufaula. I went and saw that. It scared the bejesus out of me. And, 7 years old, you don't know the difference between fresh and salt water. Mm-hmm. I didn't swim for a year. I couldn't do it. But,
I didn't bathe for a year.
Really? It's worse than I did. But that kind of got me hooked on the horror, the sea monsters, sea genre. And then Halloween came out. It's 4 years. I was 11 years old. So I just like horror movies. I like anything to do with sea life. So I take it all in.
That's what she said. I'm going to get in trouble for that one.
Where's the sound?
I know it. Well, there you have it. Cool, man. Bring it.
I mean, you guys can find me on YouTube. It seems like my latest JFK video might have dug too deep because I've been having lots of technical difficulties today. But all jokes aside, no, I mean, we do a lot of things. We started with paranormal, and then we started branching out outside of paranormal thanks to Max and his book Kronos Rising, and just digging into some of our other interests, be it paleontology, history, to the point we're actually working on some independent films with actors right now. So, but yeah, we're on YouTube and YouTube Music.
Godfather, can we get the Cole's Paranormal logo up for them real quick? Crickets. That's a sound effect. We have to have it. We don't have it right. I think they have crickets. Wait,
I was just saying, I can't make that sound.
I
would
think
if
I
I
can
could.
do it myself.
There
it is.
Yay.
Can we get the Cole's Paranormal logo up, please? And where can people find your podcast, Keegan?
Just right now, it's on YouTube Music. We are working on getting it onto other platforms. Luckily, my dad does build podcasts for people, so I have an in that way. But if you want just basic information, we're on YouTube, Instagram, sometimes Facebook, and more rarely Twitter. Not a lot there, but.
Okay,
Was your
cool.
channel Cole's Paranormal? Was it just that, or is it studio at the end? There's a
Yeah, Cool's Paranormal Studios. We had an old channel, Cool's Paranormal, but we wanted to look a little bit more professional in how we were presenting ourselves. So we rebranded. I brought a lot of our stuff on. I got a whole week dedicated to Max coming up soon. So hopefully we can get that transferred over as well.
Awesome.
Just subscribe.
And you're on Instagram, right?
Yeah, Instagram's probably our biggest social media thing. It's just Cool's Paranormal Studios as well. I post every day on there, so you'll find something.
Cool. I cannot believe the cat did not break in here the entire time. They must be sitting watching TV with my
He's
daughter.
going to pounce on you when you get out.
I was gonna say right when you.
Oh, he wanted into the bedroom last night. I like 5:30 or 5 in the morning. He was like banging on the door. I went to open it, and he just ran me over, right into the bed like a missile. I think he was like I'm here and I'm staying and whatever, and I'm like, ugh. But it's good because you got this giant fluffy like what do they call that? Like a mood, not a mood machine. What's that thing called? What it plays like rain or things like that. There's a term for that. Like sound effects that make you
mood music or
yeah. Oh, what is that called? My buddy just made an album like that.
You think, see, this is what happens when you don't get enough sleep and you can't think of these things. There's a term for that type of stuff. White noise.
white noise.
That's what I'm looking for. Yeah. So purring is a powerful white noise, and it's coming from a white cat. So you've got white fluff and white purring, white noise. You just have to watch out for the claws when he has a bad dream and stuff like that. But anyway, but it's great. All right, we're running out of time here. Got to cut down the clock. Do we have anybody? Deanna Dean, Jaws scared a bunch of folks from the water. Sasquatch, called Sasquatch. Hashtag monsters are real. Any last minute entries? Is there anybody out there? Okay. All right. Roll it out. Let's do it. Godfather, if there's anybody. If not, I will keep it. Okay. So much for that. I'm going to close out the show then. I want to thank you guys for all coming on. Brian, I am insanely proud of you. You're like my Padawan almost. I'm so happy for you. You keep up the great work. Scott, one of my favorite all-time readers. I mean, you've been there since the beginning. Great family man, great sense of humor, and thank you for always being in my corner.
Always.
Oh, and Scott has a great group, by the way, on Facebook, people, called Cronus Rising Blood in the Water. So if you want to check it out, they got some great sea monster stuff on there, all sorts of stuff.
I post stuff all the time.
And Keegan, the cool man, one of the first people that ever interviewed me, as did Brian, actually, now that I think about it, way back when. I can't thank you enough. Once again, first class, start to finish. Great guy, great sense of humor. I wish you all the best in everything. So,
no, thank you, Max. In a weird way, you got me back into reading. It took a while, and then Amazon recommended you. Pulled up Kronos Rising, ordered it, and I read every day now.
Well, that makes even better then. See, I've actually done something good today. So, all right, well, we're going to close out the show then. It is exactly 8:45. I know we got another show coming up after mine. Gentlemen, thank you so much. If you guys want to hang in the green room for a second, if you have any questions or comments, we can talk privately as soon as the Godfather lets us know. And with that note, everybody else out there, look forward to seeing you guys next next week. Same max time, same max channel.